Hello students, hope you all are fine at your home, you enjoyed your holidays. Now it's the turn to study. So in biology we will study the first chapter today, transport of food and minerals in plants. So before I start the chapter I want to tell you that open your book also, biology book chapter 1, transport of food and minerals in plant, and while explanation or during explanation you underline the key terms also. So in this chapter, transport of food and minerals in plant, we will discuss structure and function of xylem and phloem, the processes by which transport takes place, osmosis and diffusion, active transport, and process of transpiration also, and about the nutrients, the two types of nutrients, macro and micronutrients. So all you open your book. Children, as you know that plants, they also need food, and they are the only living organisms which can synthesize, which make their food own by the process of photosynthesis. So how do they make their food? The plant cell which contain chlorophyll in it, with the help of chlorophyll, water and carbon dioxide, plant undergoes photosynthesis and forms the food. Now plants, they require mineral and water. So this mineral and water, how it is transported from root to the different parts of the plant, because soil contains water and mineral, and water and mineral from the soil, they are transported to the different parts of the plant. Chlorophyll, which is present in leaf cells, synthesizes food by the process of photosynthesis. This food is also transported from leaf to the different part of the plants. So how do all these activities take place? The answer is the transport system of plants. Plants like pine, coconut, neem, rose and grass have an elaborate transport system that carries water, mineral and food. So the transport system of these and similar higher plants is known as the vascular system. So we'll discuss vascular system. What is vascular system? A transport system in plants to carry water, mineral and food in the different parts of the plant with the help of xylem and phloem. Here you understand that this water, mineral and food, all these substances are transported to the different parts of the plant with the help of special tissues. What are these special tissues in the plant? Xylem and phloem. A well developed vascular system of plant is composed of xylem and phloem. This xylem and phloem tissue, they extend from the tip of roots to the tip of leaves. Now what are xylem and phloem? Xylem transports water and mineral upward from the roots. These are the key points underlined in your book. Phloem transports food manufactured in the leaves to all parts of the plant. Now we'll see here the location of the xylem and phloem in the plant. So you see here xylem and phloem and their transportation of food and mineral is shown here through this diagram. So here you see this blue color line with the arrow. This is xylem tissue present in the plant. In the soil, water and minerals, they are present, and water and minerals, they are absorbed by the roots. From the root, they are carried to the stem. Here the tissue which helps to transport is the xylem. So from root xylem, this water and mineral both, they reach to the stem xylem, from stem to the branches and then to the leaves. So in this manner, water and mineral are transported from root to the different parts of the plant. Now you see here a pink color line. You can see this pink color line is presenting here the phloem. Now we know that the food is synthesized in the leaf. Leaf contains chlorophyll. So all the leaves, they undergo photosynthesis with the help of chlorophyll and then synthesize the food. Now the food which is manufactured in the leaf is transported with the help of phloem. You can see this pink line and the arrow coming down, and food is transported to all the directions, upper and lower both there, means upward and downward both directions. So in this manner, xylem and phloem, they transport water, mineral and food to the different parts of the plant. And xylem conducts water and minerals upward from roots, and phloem translocate food from leaves to all other parts. Now we'll see the xylem and phloem tissues, their structure and their function. So the main function we have discussed already, that xylem transport water and minerals, while phloem transports food manufactured in leaf. Now we'll come to the structure. Xylem consists of 4 types of cells. What are the 4 types of cells? Xylem vessels, tracheids, xylem fibers and xylem parenchyma. Here, what are the xylem vessels? They are long cylindrical cells joined end to end to form long tubes. So xylem vessels are cylindrical long tubes, and they have lignified walls. Lignified walls means lignin is present in their walls, and this lignin makes these cells stiff and provide structural support. Tracheids, they are also the tubular structures but with the tapering ends, and their cell walls are also thickened with the lignin. This xylem vessels in tracheids, they transport water in the xylem. On the other hand, in the phloem, what is present? In the phloem also the 4 types of cells are present. Sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fiber. Here we'll discuss about the sieve tubes and the companion cells. What are the sieve tubes? Sieve tubes are elongated tubular cells. They are also the tubular cells placed end to end like tubes, and their end walls have minute pores, and these minute pores are known as the sieve plates. At maturity, sieve tubes, they lack nuclei and have very few organelles. This limit their function to just transporting the food material. And next is the companion cell. Companion cells, they are actually the cells which support or help to the sieve tubes. So companion cells, they are located on either side of the sieve tubes, and they help the sieve tubes in conduction of food material. Companion cells are smaller in size and they have prominent nuclei. So these cells support or help the sieve tubes to transport the food. So sieve tubes and the companion cells, now together they transport food with the to the different parts of the plant. Now we will see other 2 types of cells, that is xylem fibers and phloem fibers. So xylem fibers and phloem fibers, both they have the similar function to provide mechanical strength to the plant. Okay, and in phloem, the phloem fibers, they are made up of sclerenchyma cells. Now we'll come to the parenchyma cells, xylem parenchyma and phloem parenchyma. Xylem parenchyma cells, they store water, minerals and carbohydrates. So the main function of the parenchyma cells in both the tissue xylem and phloem is to store the products. Phloem parenchyma cells, they also store the food, and xylem parenchyma, they store water, mineral and food, that is carbohydrate. Now the transport of water and mineral takes place with the help of xylem upwards from the roots. Okay, so from the roots, water and minerals are transported upwards, while in the phloem, the food is transported from leaves to the all parts of the plant in all directions. So these are the xylem and phloem tissues. One more thing here, you see in xylem and phloem that xylem tissue consists of xylem parenchyma. This xylem parenchyma is the only living component of the xylem, because in xylem we have seen four components, that is xylem vessels, tracheids and the fibers. So these vessels, tracheids and the last one xylem fibers, they are the dead cells. Only xylem parenchyma cells are the live one. Okay, they are the living component. And when we see the phloem, in phloem only the phloem fibers, they are the dead cells. Remaining all three are there, they are living one, like the sieve tubes or sieve plates, companion cells and phloem parenchyma. So this is also one more difference in xylem and phloem. Now we'll see here the structure of xylem and phloem. You can see in the xylem, this is the perforation plates. Okay, this is the xylem unit. This is that in the xylem, this one is the xylem vessel. These are the xylem tracheids. As I explained you already, the xylem vessels are long and cylindrical cells joined from end to end to form long tubes with the lignified walls. And here tracheids are also the long one, tubular, but the ends are tapering. You can see here tapering means the pointed ends in the tracheids. So these are the xylem vessels and this is the tracheids, and this is the xylem fiber, which is all these three components in the xylem, they are being the dead one. Only xylem parenchyma is the live. Now we will see here the phloem tissue. So in the phloem tissue also I discussed the sieve plate. So here this is the sieve plate. This is the sieve plate, okay, at one end here, and here it contains the sieve tubes. This is sieve tubes. At its ends, this is the sieve plate. So end walls, they have minute pores. You can see the minute pore here, and these minute pore at the end of this sieve tube is known as the sieve plate. And you see the companion cells. These are the companion cells which help sieve plate or sieve tube to transport the food. This is phloem fiber. So understood, children, xylem and phloem, their structure and their functions. So there is a comparison or a difference between xylem and phloem given in your book. You mark it and learn well. Now we'll come to the process of absorption of water and minerals. So first we will discuss absorption of water, because tissues we have studied how do they help, what are their different parts in the tissues and cells. Now absorption of water in the plants, you know that root is the structure in the plant through which water and mineral are absorbed. So water is absorbed through root hairs which are in contact with soil water. Now root contain root hairs. Okay, the root hairs, these root hairs are thin walled outgrowth of the epidermis, which is the outermost layer of root. So this is the portion of a root shown here in the diagram, and you can see many hair-like structures arising from it. These hair-like structures are the root hair. So root hair, they are unicellular thin walled outgrowths of epidermis. You underline this sentence in your book, this line. Root hair cells are unicellular thin walled outgrowth of epidermis, which is the outermost layer. So these are the epidermal structure present in the root. Now these root hair cells, they are large in number but short lived. They are continuously replaced by new cells that are formed near the root tip, and these root hairs are in direct contact, in close contact with the water surrounding the soil particle. So let me see now the magnified view of the root hair. Here you see the one of the root hairs shown here. This diagram is given in your book also. So here in the root hair you will see the outermost that boundary, which is the cell wall, and inner to it is the cell membrane. Clearly you can see here the two lines, the outer line showing the cell wall, the inner line showing the cell membrane. In the center of the cell you will see this is vacuole, and here this is the nucleus. And now you see that this epidermal cell elongates and form the root hair. So this is a complete structure of root hair cell. Okay, this is the cell and it is the elongation. This forms the root hair, and this root hair is in close contact with the water surrounding the soil particle. These are the soil particles. So diagram which is given in your book, this is the diagram of root hair that you draw in your book and your notebook for the practice. Now we'll come to the absorption of water. Absorption of water takes place by a particular process in the plants. So water is absorbed by the root hair cells by a process known as osmosis. So this osmosis we will study. What is osmosis? Here you can see the two beakers are shown here, and in the beaker what you see here, that the fluid or the solution is separated by a membrane, which is the semi-permeable membrane. Okay, and this semi-permeable membrane is a thin membrane which allows the movement of selected molecules through it. This definition also you underline in your book. What is a semi-permeable membrane? A semi-permeable membrane is a thin membrane that allows the movement of selected molecules. Means all molecules cannot pass through it, only the selected one. That is why it is known as the selectively permeable membrane, also semi-permeable. And in plants, plasma membrane is known as the cell membrane, is known as the selectively permeable membrane. So what is osmosis? Osmosis is the movement of water through a semi-permeable membrane. You can see here also the water and water, and in the water in this solution some solute molecules. You can see this red one is the solute molecule. So these two solutions are separated by the semi-permeable membrane, and in osmosis the movement of water through a semi-permeable membrane from an area of higher concentration. You just see the concentration of water is more in this area than this one. Okay, so water moves from its region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration, and when you see here, it goes on until the equilibrium sets up. Equilibrium means the concentration of both the solution will be equal. Till that this movement of water takes place. Okay, so what is osmosis? Underline in your book. Osmosis is the movement of water through a semi-permeable membrane from an area of its higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. Okay, so you can define it in another way also, that movement of solvent from low to high. Solute solvent is water. Water is the solvent. Okay, so this is the process of osmosis. Now we'll see here that steps of absorption of water, means how is water absorbed. With the help of this process osmosis we have discussed. So you need to study this diagram. First you understand this diagram, what are the different parts shown. This is root hair, as I explained you already. This is the epidermal extension. So this is root hair. This is the outermost layer, which is the epidermis, known as the epiblema also. This is cortex. Parenchyma cells are present here, and here this is endodermis. Inner side of the endodermis, one more single layer cell is there, that is the pericycle. Inner side we will see the xylem and phloem. So you see here, this is phloem tissue and this is the xylem. Okay, so this is the section of a root through which we will understand that how is water absorbed through it. So what are the different steps? We start from the first step. What happens in the first step? The concentration of water molecules in the soil is usually high than it is inside the root hair cells. So this is root hair cell. Outside you can see the soil particles. So the concentration of water is more in the soil particle than the cell. Which cell? Root hair cell. So root hair cell has less water and soil is has more water in it. Okay, so now you can understand that outside of the root hair cell more water. So the water from soil enters into the root hair cell as per the concentration gradient, means water moves from higher concentration to the lower concentration. It means from soil to the root hair cell. Now once the water is absorbed, its concentration in the root hair cells become more than the adjacent cell of the inner tissue. Now water reaches here. Okay, so here the amount of water increases more. So its concentration increases in the root hair cells and the surrounding cells. Now from the epidermis, water goes to the cells of cortex. You can see here. How does it happen? In the same way, osmosis, like from root hair to epidermis through the osmosis, from epidermal cells to the cortex through the osmosis, because epidermal cells, they have more concentration of water than the cortex cell. So from epidermal cells, water enters into the cortex cell by the process of osmosis, means the movement of water from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through the semi-permeable membrane or selectively permeable membrane. And which of the membrane is here? Plasma membrane. So in this manner, cell to cell osmosis takes place and water moves through the cortical cells. Okay, so water molecules move through osmosis from root hair cells to the neighboring cells. This process continues. You can see this process continues until water reaches the xylem tissue in the root. Here this is the xylem tissue, you can see, and water now reaches to the xylem tissue. So cell to cell osmosis continues until the water reaches to the xylem tissue. Now inside the xylem, water travels. Now this water travels upwards from one cell to another against the force of gravity. Further detail we will see in the ascent of sap in the last of this chapter. Again we will discuss. Okay, so in this manner, water and minerals, they are transported from root to the root hair cell to the different parts of the root and reaches to the xylem. Now from the root xylem, water goes up to the stem xylem, because these xylem units are connected with each other. So understood, students, how is water absorbed through the root cells? Now we'll see here absorption of minerals. Absorption of water, I explained you. Now absorption of minerals. So most minerals needed by plants are dissolved in water in the soil. Some of these are like calcium, potassium, magnesium and nitrogen. Absorption of mineral by the roots takes place by two processes. These two processes are diffusion and active transport. So first here we will discuss active transport. Okay, we will discuss here diffusion. In diffusion, the concentration of mineral molecule is higher in the soil than inside the root hair cells, just like osmosis. In osmosis, we have studied the movement of water molecule from the region of their higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through the semi-permeable membrane. In diffusion also what happens here, other than water, means at the place of water what is transported here, the mineral molecules, okay, or other substances. So mineral molecules, they are transported from the region of their higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. So the concentration of the mineral molecules is being higher in the soil, okay, then the root hair cells. So from the soil, these minerals which are dissolved in the water, along with water, they enter into the root hair cell. So what is diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of salt or mineral molecules from a region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. Okay, so this is the process of diffusion. Understood? So difference between osmosis and diffusion is very important, which is given in table 1.2 in your book, that you mark and learn it well. So understood, in osmosis which of the molecules are transported? Water molecules. In diffusion, which of the molecules move here? These are the salt or mineral molecules. Rest of the things are same, but in osmosis we have studied semi-permeable membrane. Here in diffusion, as such, semi-permeable membrane is not necessary. Diffusion can take place from the one part of solution to the other part also, okay, because it is the movement of mineral molecules or salt molecules, so it does not require semi-permeable membrane. Now further we will see, after the diffusion process, next one, which is the active transport. What is active transport? Active transport involves the movement of mineral ions against a concentration gradient. Against a concentration gradient, what does it mean? Against the concentration gradient, it means mineral molecules are more concentrated in the root hair cells than the soil outside. This is just reverse of the diffusion, means root hair cells already has a lot of concentration of the minerals than the surrounding. So here what happens, this takes place against the concentration gradient. Already root cells, they have more concentration of minerals, but still minerals from soil, they are transported to the root hair cells. So as it is against the concentration gradient, so it requires energy. So energy is needed for the active transport, and plants get this energy from respiration, that is the ATP is there, adenosine triphosphate. Energy pockets are required by the plant cell. So what is active transport? Active transport is the movement of mineral ions from a region of their lower concentration to the region of their higher concentration. This is known as the active transport. Underline this definition also in your book. And active transport is the opposite of diffusion. So the difference between diffusion and active transport, that also given in your book, you go through it. So we have completed here absorption of water, absorption of mineral. Absorption of water takes place through osmosis, and absorption of mineral takes place by two processes, diffusion and active transport. Now this transport of water and mineral is known as ascent of sap. So we will study now ascent of sap. What is the meaning of ascent of sap? That also, that is transport of water and mineral. So the transport of water and minerals in plant occurs, and root hair cells absorb mineral salts by active transport. Mineral salts then reach the root cortex, and root hair cells also absorb water from the soil through osmosis. This we have discussed already. And mineral salts get accumulated in the xylem, and the water concentration gets reduced in it. This creates a concentration gradient that is strong enough to draw water and minerals to move towards the stem. Now what happens, that the same process is there, that concentration of the water in the soil particle is more than the root. So as per the concentration gradient, water moves from soil particles to the root hair, then to the root, and further as it goes up, the same process, cell to cell osmosis, takes place. And due to this concentration gradient, a strong that pressure or a force is created in the xylem tissue to draw water and mineral to move towards the stem, because from root xylem water goes up in the stem xylem. Okay, so a concentration gradient is set up from root xylem to the stem xylem, as we have seen, from soil particles to the root hair, then from root hair to the root cells then to the root xylem, from root xylem to the stem xylem. So the pressure developed in the roots due to the continuous inflow of water helps in pushing the plant sap upwards, and that is the root pressure. Okay, so this root pressure is responsible for the upward movement of water from root to the stem and then to the different parts. So the water and nutrients taken up by roots and root hairs through the soil, this movement is provided in part by root pressure, a positive pressure created when water enters the root by the process of osmosis. So what is the root pressure? This pressure is developed due to the cell to cell osmosis of water in the root xylem. Okay, and this root pressure helps to push the water upwards. Water and minerals are also dissolved, means water soluble minerals are also transported through it, so that we call it as a sap, plant sap. It moves upwards. Now further we will see this root pressure, you understood. Next we will see that water moves through the xylem up the stem, from root to the stem xylem, then after it goes to the leaves. Okay, now how does it happen? There is one more force which is responsible for this. This is transpiration pull. Okay, transpiration pull, as it is clear from the name, the pull force created due to the transpiration. Transpiration, as you know, there is loss of water from the surface of leaf, which is known as transpiration. Okay, so in transpiration, water vapor escapes from the surface of leaf. So this also creates a force or a pull. How it is there, I'll explain you. That leaf contains stomata that you have studied. Through the stomata, water vapor comes out. Okay, so the leaf cells, they become deficient in water. So the concentration of water becomes less in the leaf cells. Then what happens, when the concentration of water in leaf cells is less, then it will draw water from the other cells, that is the branches. And now the branches also they'll have the less concentration, because water will be transported to the leaf cells. Now this branch xylem now will absorb the water from the stem xylem. So in this manner, what happens here, a pull is created due to the transpiration. So understood, children? Okay, water loss due to the transpiration, it creates a deficiency of water in the leaf cells. Okay, so leaf cells, they draw water from the surrounding cells of this branch xylem. Then the branch xylem further becomes deficient in water, so it draws water from the stem xylem. In that manner, a pull is created due to the transpiration. So along with root pressure, this transpiration pull also helps in the upward movement of water. So understood the transpiration pull? Okay, a pull which is created due to the transpiration, in the leaves which helps in the upward movement of water is called the transpiration pull. Okay, and water and minerals absorbed by roots are conducted upwards through the xylem to the other parts such as stem, leaves and flowers. This upward movement of water or a cell sap which contains water and minerals is called as ascent of sap. This definition is given in your book that you underline. And this ascent of sap, what is ascent of sap? That continuous movement of cell sap in upward direction. So the upward movement of cell sap which contains water and minerals is known as the ascent of sap. And this phenomenon is explained by the scientists Henry H. Dixon and John Joly. They explained this cohesive theory of ascent of sap in tall trees, and they explained that the primary force for water being pulled up against gravity was evaporation from the leaves, that is the transpiration pull, and it produces a tension in the water molecules in the xylem tissue, and due to bonding, that is cohesion force, strength between water molecules, it is drawn up from the roots. So this theory was explained by Dixon and Joly, okay, known as the theory of ascent of sap. Which theory? Cohesive theory of ascent of sap. So understood ascent of sap here, okay. Due to osmosis, water enters into the root hairs. Now in the root pressure is created due to cell osmosis. Due to this root pressure, water goes upwards, and the capillary actions also, because the xylem vessels, they are very thin, and the tracheids also, so they produce a capillary action. Due to that, water rises up to the stem xylem, and the adhesion and cohesion also, it makes the water column continuous, and then after water reaches to the leaf. Here transpiration pull also helps there in the upward movement of water. So in that manner, water from roots goes up with the help of xylem to all parts of the plant. This is ascent of sap. Understood, children, ascent of sap? So now I will repeat all the key terms. We have started from xylem and phloem. They are water and food conducting tissues respectively. Xylem is water conducting tissue, phloem is food conducting tissue. Okay. After this, we have studied the absorption of water by the process of osmosis, structure of root hair cell, and the steps of absorption of water. Then we have discussed absorption of minerals, which takes place with the help of diffusion and active transport. And at last, we have studied the process ascent of sap, which is the upward movement of cell sap through the xylem. Okay. So you underline all the key points here, key points given in your book, like ascent of sap, the upward movement of water and minerals from the roots to the aerial parts of the plant against gravitation force is called ascent of sap. And what is cell sap? Cell sap is the fluid containing mineral salts and water enclosed in the vacuole of a cell. So this water content, this is known as the cell sap. Okay, and we have discussed the transpiration pull also, that helps in the upward movement of water. Just now I have discussed that transpiration and transpiration pull also. So what is transpiration? That you underline in your book also. On page number 9, the loss of water in the form of water vapor through the stomata of leaves and other aerial parts of the plant is called as transpiration. Okay, I am repeating, The loss of water in the form of water vapor through the stomata of leaves and other aerial parts of the plant is known as transpiration. Now, what is transpiration pull? There is a direct relationship between absorption and transpiration. We have studied already this. As water is lost through transpiration, more water is absorbed, more water is required, and this creates a suction pressure that I have explained you already. So this creates a suction pressure which pulls up water from xylem roots to the stem and then to the leaves. It is called as transpiration pull. So underline both the definitions in your book, transpiration and transpiration pull. So amount of water in the roots, it gets reduced because of the continuous upward flow of water, and in turn now the water from the surrounding soil passes to the root hair cells by the process of osmosis, and thus the cycle continues. So understood the relation between the transpiration and absorption. There is direct relationship. More transpiration means more absorption of water by the roots. Transpiration takes place in the leaves and absorption takes place through the roots. So understood? Now you read the chapter, go through it and underline all the key terms and solve the exercises which are given in between the pages, and some of the exercises given at the back also.